Yeah. Can you maybe just take us through, the couple that are sitting out there that we know of right now, with maybe start with Evander Kane and on to Jack Campbell. Kind of maybe start with Kane and how that came together last night.
Kane's been a long process, really. Really probably the last 72 hours, I wasn't sure at times which direction it was going to go. I think the bottom line is that as we've gone through all this, Evander wanted to be an Oiler. Enjoyed his time here. Obviously, found tremendous chemistry with, Leon and Connor. Obviously that arbitration was things that we talked a lot about. Dan Milstein and his agent and myself. I know that Evander's going to continue to pursue that. He'll probably talk about it here after. He feels strongly that he's, done nothing wrong per se, but I feel a comfort level that Evander wants to be in Edmonton. We found a contract that he feels good about and that we feel good about.
Just to follow up on that, if Evander takes this right to a decision and ends up winning, he goes back to being a member of the San Jose Sharks, and the contract that you've done with him then effectively is gone. But is there a mechanism for him to end up an Oiler either way, regardless of which that goes? Have you sort of looked that far down the path? And if that happens, can you still get him?
Obviously I have looked that far down the path. I guess that's my responsibility, but I think for me, it all comes back to Evander wants to be in Edmonton, and he wants to play for the Edmonton Oilers, wants to be a part of our team, and I'm comfortable that that's going to happen.
Ken, how did you arrive at 4 years with Evander? And, given the fact that long-term contracts elsewhere haven't exactly worked out for him, how do you feel comfortable with that length of term?
I would say to you, I think that, first off, we've had, 6 months, 4 or 5 months with him. I think that he fit in real well. At the end of the year, I think I said this to you guys at the end. At the end of the year when I went through the exit interviews with all the players, to a man, everybody in that locker room wanted him back. I made that very clear to me. Felt that we were a much better team with Evander on our team. Obviously, part of this negotiation is about, what Evander's got, looming or whatever, what the word is with the arbitration case. So, basically the 4-year deal probably totals similar to what he's got there in San Jose. I'm comfortable with the 4. He's 31 years of age. If you look, and he's probably, the guy in record book says he's, around a 25 to a 30 goal scorer before he got here. He found tremendous chemistry with Connor, with Leon, especially with Connor. What was he, on pace for 40, 45 goals with us? He brings an element, he brings an edge to his game, which I think some personality, some physicality. So I think it's not only the ability to score goals. I think the other dimensions that he brings to our team are also very, very valuable. So I guess I wanted to find a solution that worked for Evander, and I was comfortable with a 4-year contract.
And for me, second one for me, I just wonder what you saw in Jack Campbell to want to target him, and where does this leave Mike Smith right now?
On Jack Campbell, obviously I talk to my people. We do all our research. I think, a guy in Jack Campbell I remember watching him in his draft year. I think he went 10th or 11th overall in his draft year, and was playing for the U.S. at 18 and 19 on the U.S. World Junior team. And then he went through, 5, 6, 7 years where he went in the American League. I sort of lost track of him. And the last 4 or 5 years, he popped back up in the National Hockey League. He's been in L.A. and he went to Toronto. He looks to me from afar like a guy that's getting better all the time. He's competitive. He's accountable. I think that he's 30 years of age. I think from a goaltender standpoint, that's a good age. And I think with Stu Skinner that we'll have a good tandem. I'm not expecting Smitty to play this year. He's got a lot of health issues. So, I'm not expecting Smitty to play.
Ken, sorry.
Yeah.
With Evander Kane, so he had permission to speak to other teams, and then he obviously, he tweeted out around midnight last night he's staying with Edmonton. How do you think that contributed, that you gave him the opportunity to sort of look around a little bit here before hitting the actual deadline today?
Well, Reed, I guess my experience is, I want people to sign wherever I'm the manager. I want people to sign feeling that I'm being fair with them, and that, so I guess ultimately by giving him the green light to explore the market, I wanted Dan Milstein and Dan to have an opportunity to explore what's out there. And again, I think that when you're going through a negotiation, I feel obviously there's lots of things money obviously is important in any negotiation from the club's perspective and from the player's perspective. But, the opportunity to play in this city in front of this fan base, going to the Final Four to see you heard Duncan Keith here yesterday talking about coming down the tunnel to coming out on the ice. He felt like a gladiator with all the noise, the passion, the opportunity to play with the players that we've got on the team. And I think that, I'd like to think that when Evander and Dan went through that process, that ultimately, he enjoyed his time here. I believe he always wanted to be here, but certainly this is also a business, and it's a business from the team's perspective. It's a business from the player's perspective, and it would give him an opportunity to, from a business side, to see what's out there.
So when you came here, you signed a bunch of guys on one-year contracts, like Gaetan Asa, all these guys, just to kind of keep your head above water, I think. When you go around the league looking for free agents now, what's the are you getting a different perspective? How's the rest of the league looking at Ken Holland's team now?
I mean, I don't know. It's I'd like to think that certainly when you go to the Final Four, which we went to the Final Four, there's only 4 teams left, and you play one night, and the next night's the East, and then it's the West. Certainly, when you're able to go on a playoff run, players around the league can see what you've got to offer, when I came here 3 years ago, certainly there was lots to offer. Connor Leon, Darnell Nurse, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, some other people. And in the meantime, I think that some of the players that have been here that have grown now into, you talk about Yamamoto, McLeod, and we're hoping to Stu Skinner. And I think that, so now obviously, Zach Hyman comes, and, we made a deal for Duncan Keith. And, when players come here, they find it's a fabulous place to play. There's tremendous passion. But most importantly, I think you want to win, and I think that having the core that we've got is certainly has people around the league that want to come here and join them.
Would you say that the Stanley Cup window is open here now?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal, absolutely. I mean, we were in the Final Four. I guess, I think I've said this to you, you got to make the playoffs every year. I know that one year we lost out in the play-in series to Chicago, but I believe if there was no pandemic, we were going to make the playoffs. So I believe, in my mind, we've made the playoffs 3 years in a row. And you need to make, you want to win the Stanley Cup, you need multiple opportunities. You got to be you got to get better, you got to experience it. I think the experience of the Winnipeg series, I looked the way our team played in the play-in series against Chicago, the way we played against Winnipeg, the way we played last year. We're getting better all the time. We're getting more comfortable in those games. and we just got to keep at it. We got to keep making our team better. I believe we're doing that. Part of it's got to be that push from youth. We're in a cap. There's limitations on what you can spend. So I believe that we're in the Stanley Cup window. Certainly, I'm making decisions to try to give us the best opportunity to compete for the Stanley Cup.
Ken, when it comes to Jack Campbell, how do you kind of envision him and Stuart Skinner? Do you look at Jack as a 50, 60 game guy, then Stuart spelling him out, or how do you look at that tandem next year?
I'd like to think that Jack will play. If both guys are healthy, Jack will play 50 and Stuart will play 30. Give or take 3 or 4 games. Whether it's 52, 53, and 30, or 55 and 27, but something like 50, 30 is what I would kind of envision. I think that when Stu Skinner played last year. He gave us a chance to win every night. I thought he did. I think his saves percentage was .915-ish or something. So I think that by Stu playing some games last year gives everybody a comfort level. We got to see him in the NHL. In my mind, he was one of the best goaltenders at the American Hockey League level. He helped Bakersfield win a little bit of a championship a year ago in that Pacific Division. So, I'm excited about our goaltending and looking forward to Stu Skinner growing.
Ken, you'd given Evander Kane permission, and Brett Kulak, he tested the market. He said he just kind of felt like he wanted to go through the entire process. How confident were you? Ultimately, it came down to the 4 years and right in that range that a lot of people, you guys had been discussing for a while.
Well, and if I'm talking about Brett Kulak, obviously our scouts and our people, made a decision at the deadline last year to pay a second-round pick for Brett. He thought he came in and did everything we could have hoped and more. What's Brett? I think is 27, 28 years old. He's really, in my mind, again, that's the sort of the prime. Other than the phenoms that are really good at 21, 22, 23. That 25, 26, 27-year-old years when they pop, and I thought that he came in, did everything we wanted him to. He's a free skater. He's an easy skater. I think he's a good defender. He's a very good person. He's in the gym every day. He was very respected in the locker room. And again, he's 27 years of age. I think. The cap's 82.5. Next year it's going to be 83.5 and 84.5. At some point in time, once the cap's going to start to move at a little bit more than $1 million a year. So, it's hard to find defensemen, and I think that, Brett can play in the third pair, anchor a third pair. He's obviously going to get an opportunity to play in the second pair now. He was important to get back. I mean, it's hard to find. You think at the end of the year, Duncan Keith retiring. If you lose Brett Kulak, it would have been a big hole. So certainly, I'm very happy today that Brett's back.
There was lots of on social media discussion about conversations been going on since the draft in regards to Connor Brown. Are you close to a deal like that? Is there any smoke where there's fire in regards to Connor Brown?
I mean, you could talk. I'm not going to talk about specific rumors. I think that, draft week is a week that, if I didn't talk to 31 managers, I'd probably talk to 25. You toss around lots of ideas. The reality is 1 in 25 come to be a reality. So, I'm going to continue to explore some options. Obviously, with Evander being back, I got to figure out the cap. We've got some restricted free agents here, so still got more things to do. But I thought today, being able to get a number one goaltender, bringing back Evander, who's the top 6 winger, and getting a guy in Brett that top 4 defensemen, or certainly top 6 defensemen all day long, was a good start for us.
So you also added Calvin Pickard as a third goaltender in the system. When you look at your team now, do you need another depth defenseman? Do you need some bottom 6 forwards in your eyes? Do you still have some pieces you'd like to add?
The answer is yes. I think some of that's going to take some time. Jason, I don't know what's all going to happen here this afternoon or tomorrow. I think, we're starting to, there's other people out there that got lots of cap space. I think they've got to do their things, and then we'll kind of, as the dust settles, we'll see. But yes, the answer is yes.
Where would you say things are at on the Jesse Puljujärvi front? What the market out there, has been like, and maybe just as an extension of that, what you think that third line potentially shapes into? I know McLeod is there to be done, Fogle on left, but Puljujärvi and then the third line.
Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the things, I guess that, one of the things that Jesse does bring, he obviously brings size, and you move Cass out, you need, I like to have a big, if you're going to go to a playoff run, you need skill, you need size. So, trying to sort all these things out. Certainly it's all cap rate. I don't really have any specific answers for you. Certainly, again, for me, heading into today, the priorities were, what are we going to do in goal? Evander Kane's been a priority over, he's a top six winger. He's a 35, 40 goal. Maybe he can score more, but certainly I'd like to pencil him in for 30, 35 goals. And then I needed to do something in the back end. Now I've got to sort out the rest of the roster.
Ken, how would you just said you kind of got the pieces you want so far. How would you assess the day as a whole? And can you compare the landscape today and what it was like working today compared to other years?
Every, I'm going to call it July 1st, but it's July 13th. Every July 1st, or, free agency day is unique in its own. The 3 years that I've been here, as Mark had said earlier, the first year we signed a lot of players between $800 and $1 million. We didn't have a lot of money. Wanted to try to build the bottom part of the roster. Wanted to get a little more competitive. The team had finished 28th overall the year before. We wanted to be competitive, and we kind of got there. And then certainly when you've got the core that we've got, and their incredible core, the goal is to compete for a championship. And can't wave a magic wand at it. You got to build it. So I thought that obviously last summer we, brought in some pieces. Obviously Zach Hyman was a tremendous addition. Was a perfect fit for our hockey club. Among Duncan Keith wanted to bring in some veteran players to kind of bring, as Mark had talked about the question earlier, was sometimes you got to learn how to win, and those people that have won, that's what they bring. That's what they bring into the locker room. They've Duncan Keith had won championships and won gold medals, and that rubs off on the rest of your team. And obviously Dunk was here for a year. I think Duncan had a real positive influence the last half of the year in being a partner with Evan Bouchard. So, as we come back to this year, obviously, in goal with Koskinen deciding to go to Europe and Smitty being 40 years of age, we signed him to a 2-year deal. I thought Smitty would, when we had talked last year, I thought it was going to be, Smitty would be kind of co-number ones with him and Koski, and he'd be the backup this year to somebody. But again, he had a tough year with injuries. So, getting a goalie halfway through the year, we brought in Evander Kane, and you never know what's going to happen, and you just kind of go with the flow. But I guess I'm excited and feel good about what we've done today, but I know that there's more work that needs to be done here over the next couple of months.
One for me. I just wonder how quickly you want to deal with your RFAs, whether it's signing, trading, whatever, or can you earmark some money for them and deal with them later?
Oh, I've got money earmarked. I've got a good idea where they fit, Daniel, and on their ARB cases. So I have talked to a couple of the agents, so we'll see.
Ken, you've mentioned a little bit about, Evander Kane being 31, and none of these contracts takes a player of 35. Whether you're here 3, 5, 7, 9 years down the road, I know the focus of most is win now, but are you also still in the back of your mind constructing a program that will contend for years and years the way you built it in Detroit?
Yeah, that's the goal. Now, certainly I made some decisions this year. We went to the draft, we had a first-round pick, and then we didn't have any picks till pick 5. So, next year we've got a full board, I think, except for pick 4. I'm happy I haven't traded any first-round picks. You know, I think that, you know, Broberg, Holloway, Borgo, and you're getting a look out here at Reed Schaefer. We've got some young kids that, you know, have a good chance to play in the National Hockey League. You know, when you look at the NHL, you know, you want to have a good, you need that nucleus of that engine, you know, that of star players. And so we've got them. The time is now. And the other thing that those star players can do, they can play longer than, they can stay at a higher level longer than everybody. They're better than everybody else. So, you know, when you start to get to 30 and 31, when some players are starting to, the decline, well, even if they're starting their decline, well, they're starting up there, they're not starting down here. So, you know, the star players can play till they're 34, 35 and still be maybe not superstars, but they're still, you know, they're still stars, and they can. So I think that the window here is, you know, obviously we want to win. I'm hoping the cap starts to grow. Behind the scenes, we're developing and we're drafting, we're building for down the road. We're trying to build something that's sustainable long term. And then when you build something that's sustainable and you bring people in when they're young, they want to stay because it's a positive experience. And as an athlete, you want to be in an environment where you have a chance to win every day. I guess that's what we did in Detroit. That's sort of what I learned from Jim Devellano, and we went through the trial and errors of, you know, and not everything, I think when I sat here the day of my first press conference, not every decision is going to work out, but you got to make more good decisions than bad decisions, whether it's a draft, whether it's contracts, whether it's trades, or whatever decisions you make. So that's what I'm trying to build here, and I'd like to think that we're headed on the right path, and I feel good about the job that Keith Gretzky's done in Bakersfield. I think it's important to have the same program going on down there, a positive environment, real good veteran leadership, you know, and where the young players have good role models around them, and they come to the rink and they expect to win, they learn how to win, they get into playoff games, and then they come up and they kind of grow into NHL players, and they're ready for the challenges up here. All good. Can you ask it? I didn't hear him.
Try again. Go ahead. Okay, we're good now? Or? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Ken, I think the general consensus around the hockey world is that you had a pretty good day today. And I'm wondering, when you look at, you look back on today as opposed to the last couple of years, for lack of a better term, do you kind of feel like you have your fastball back?
Well, it's not as fast as it once was, Ken. So I'm nibbling more around the edges. You know, as you get older, you got to work the curveball in, and you got to, no, you know what, that's for, you know, I guess at the end of the day, Ken, my feeling is, you know, I'm going to go by my experiences. You know, it's trial and error, and it's sort of what I answered before. I think that you know, I'm trying to build something. Certainly when I came here, the nucleus was here, and we're trying to build around the nucleus, trying to get deeper, trying to get more dimensions to our hockey club. Part of it's got to be youth, you know, that are pushing through onto your team. So I feel like I feel good that we went to the Final Four last year. I feel good that we made the playoffs 3 years in a row. Certainly the goal, the expectation, it's hard to, the goal, the ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup. And you know, we got a first-hand look at a 100-point team in the first round in LA Kings, and a 110-point team in the second round in Calgary, and a 120-point team in the third round in Colorado, and they eventually beat Tampa Bay. So I'd like to think that experience is going, doesn't mean we're going to win next year, win the cup, we got to make the playoffs. You got to get into the top 8 again in the West. But I think I think we're growing. I think we're building. I believe we're heading in the right direction.
Going back to the draft, there's been a lot of movement in the goaltender market. Has this been the most aggressive goaltending market you've seen in your as an executive?
Yeah, I can't remember everyone, but possibly. I mean, certainly there was goaltenders moving all over around the league. Not sure why, but there was a lot of goaltender movement. You know, I guess I kind of look at, you know, obviously the importance. It's such an important position in trying to win, and you know, sometimes you know, there's then you factor in the cap, and you know, people want to. Sometimes you want to keep somebody. Sometimes you don't. There's a lot of factors, but certainly probably as much movement in goal this year as there's been in a long time. Okay, thanks, guys.